Welcome, everybody, to Catfish Weekly, presented by Whisker Wear Apparel. Along with Doc Lang, I'm Lyle Stokes, and welcome to the show. Doc, we got some bad news this past week. I am very sad to tell everybody that Chuck has decided to resign from the show due to medical conditions with Leanne and his work situation. I do understand what's going on, and I know he's going to be doing some live events with us and special shows and events, and he'll be doing stuff with us throughout the year whenever he's available. But we're really going to miss old Chuck.
Yeah. Because, man, he always knew the questions to ask when we were interviewing people and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's he'd been with us since the beginning, and he's going to be sorely missed. And any time that he has a free moment, all he's got to do is just give us the word, and we'll jump him right back in here, and it'll just be like he was here the whole time. You know, we'll never miss him.
Right.
But we will miss him. We'll miss him every week, and I'm really kind of down the dumps about that. But I do understand, and like him and I have talked for the last 3 years, and this being the 3-year anniversary tonight, I believe. That family first, you know, and it has to be that way. And Doc just dropped out on us, but we'll continue on. He'll jump back in here in just a minute. But we are really going to miss Chuck, and wish him the best. And if anything that we can do to help him in any way, all he's got to do is let us know. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about some stuff. I had some shoulder surgery, as many of you know, here a couple weeks ago, and I went in Thursday for a checkup. And you always know when you're at the right place, whether it be at a doctor's office or whatever. I walked in to check in for my 2-week checkup, and the lady that checked me in remembered me from before and knew that we'd done the Catfish Weekly show and had the link and was going to watch the show. And I was pretty impressed as she was checking me in and talking about Catfish Weekly. And I get up, and I knew that I'd made the right decision on my doctor, because he'd worked on me before and he'd done such an outstanding job. But when we was sitting there and he was checking me all over, and he says, "Wait a minute," and he goes out and picks up his phone, and he'd been on vacation to Thailand, and he come back in and showed me pictures of Ming Kong catfish. How much better can you get than a doctor like that? I mean, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
So Dr. Smith is a great guy, and he done an outstanding job, and everything's going good with the shoulder. So we're starting to get back to doing a little bit of a few things, and we'll be back fishing before you know it.
There you go.
I know we've got a bunch of stuff to go over tonight at the end of the show, Doc. But before we get started with Joel, I want to congratulate Wayne and Connor King for winning the JKV tournament down there. Them guys got it going on, ain't they?
Yeah, 111.6 pounds.
For Henderson, that's a pretty good weigh-in, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I've never fished that area. I want to sometime, and just haven't gotten around to it. But like I say, I know we're going to go over some of that stuff here at the end of the show. But I wanted to mention that because I'm so proud of Connor, and I know his mom and dad is, and Wayne and him are burning it up. The only way it could be any better is if Jennifer had been in the boat with him. So family operation going on there, and they're doing a heck of a job.
Yep.
With that being said, well, how's things out in the Ohio area?
Hey, it's warm here. 65 degrees today. It's going to be there again tomorrow, but I think we're supposed to have a little bit of rain. But man, that's unreal. Here it is. We're almost the end of February.
Yep.
And the snowflakes are non-existent. Alaska is the only place that's got them right now.
We was talking before.
I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, we was talking before the Joel, and Joel said it was 75 over the weekend. I know it was, because it was here, and it was 70 today. I'm sitting here with no heater on and the window open, and you can't beat that with a stick at the end of February. I mean, that's just as good as it gets.
No, the only thing it makes it bad for is the guys that plow snow. They are not making any money this year, that's for sure.
Well, I'm sure Carl Morris will miss that, but I'm sure that he's not going to miss being out there all hours of the day and night out there freaking the took us off either.
No.
It is what it is, but it's some great weather. Hey, we got Joel Roberts with us tonight. Joel lives just inside of Kansas, fishes the Kansas River, the Missouri River, and he's going to tell us what it's like to fish them rivers. I know we talk about this a lot, Doc, but a lot of these guys don't understand when I tell them that we got current over here. They don't understand what it is till they're on it.
Right, yeah.
Welcome to the show, Joe.
Good to be here.
You've been out all weekend, I guess, catching fish.
Yeah, unfortunately, they've been crappie. I ordered a new boat this winter, and it hadn't come in yet, so I'm forced to fish with my dad on his boat, and he says no catfish on his boat. So I'm stuck.
That's killing you, isn't it?
I guess they taste pretty good.
I guess they do. When are you getting your boat?
It's supposed to be here in the middle of March.
The middle of March. Well, that's not too far off. You're just about there.
What are you getting?
I bought a CR Pro Cat 200.
Oh, cool.
175?
200.
200. Woo, you getting a 200 motor on it?
Yeah, they've raised the horsepower limit on them.
Awesome. Well, you'll be able to keep up them dudes now.
I hope so. There's some pretty fast boats around here.
Yes, there is. There's a
lot of fast boats around here.
Yeah, there is. And you as well as I know that some of the toughest competitors in the United States come from our area on the fish the waters that we fish in these tournaments every weekend.
Yes, there's hundreds of great fishermen around here. These guys know their stuff.
Yeah, they do, and you got to have your stuff together. If you jump in the water in one of these tournaments in the Midwest and up around your area is loaded with great fishermen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what's the difference between fishing the Kansas River and the Missouri River?
Generally, it's going to be current. In the springtime, the Kansas will get some 3-4 mile an hour current, but the most part, it's going to flow a half mile an hour to a mile an hour and be very shallow. 2, 3, 4 foot deep in most of the places. You can find a couple holes at around 20 foot. Whereas Missouri, they're going to maintain 8 feet deep in the channel. So the main difference is going to be the current. There's some big blues on the. My personal best came off the lower Kansas River.
You think those run back and forth from Missouri to up into Kansas River?
I think so.
Yeah, they do here. I know several of us have talked about the length of the Mississippi, where the fish will be at the one dam one night, and the next morning they're liable to be up or down river from where they was at the night before.
Right. Yeah, the Kansas is one of the biggest tributaries to the Missouri in this area, and when the fish start making that spring run, they run right up to Kansas, and 16 miles up, we have a low head dam, so they stop right there.
Awesome. Well, listen, I'm going to let Doc ask you a few questions, and I've got some stuff wrote down here, and if he don't cover it, then we'll go back at it.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. There you go, Doc.
All right, thanks. Okay, Joel, so you're on the Missouri River. Now, are you fishing right out in the main channel, or where, walk me through where you're setting up and all that?
It really depends. Some days, we'll be on an outside bend, that's 20 foot deep where the rocks and the sand meet. Then other times we'll be all the way up, behind the dikes in, a foot of water. It really just depends on the time of year, what the current's doing. If the river's flooded, you're gonna have to run behind some of those dikes to be safe with your boat. And then also the fish, in my opinion, when it floods, they're gonna run out. And when they run out, the only place to go is behind those dikes. So really, you can be all across the river, just depending on where you think they're going to be.
Now, how much weight are you using to hold bait down?
In the main channel, if you're fishing on the rocks there, it'll probably be 10 to 12 ounces. I don't go any lighter than 8 ounces. But there are times when we'll throw a 16 ounce if you want to get it to try to stick up against the bank somewhere in the heavy current. If we're bumping, we'll use as light as a 3 ounce and up to a 6, depending on the depth and how far away from the boat you want to keep your bait.
Yeah. Now, are you when you say you're bumping? Are you moving bumping, or are you anchored down and just bumping out behind the boat?
Yeah. Between half mile an hour, 1,000 an hour, and your bait will be behind the boat, 100 to 300 feet.
Okay. What rods are you using?
My anchor rods are a Kansas City rod shop, John Jameson rod he came up with years ago.
Yeah.
And then my bumping rod, I've used Lyle's Pro Drift, and I've also used a Warrior Cat bumping rod. They're all about the same in my opinion. I mean, they're all good rods.
Yeah. Now, are you using a 3-way rig or Carolina?
Everything's with a 3-way rig.
Okay.
You tend to get stuff back that way. If you run a Carolina rig and you're fishing the rocks and your weight gets hung up, you're going to lose your whole rig. You're going to lose the sinker, your swivel, your leader, the whole 9 yards. If you're using a 3-way, if your weight gets hung up, you'll at least get the hook back in your swivel. And if your hook gets hung up, then you'll at least get the weight back. So it doesn't always work that way, but generally you can get something back where you're not just for a whole rig. Like it's pretty expensive.
How much of a dropper liner are you using? About a foot or longer than that?
Around a foot. Sometimes we'll go a little shorter, maybe 6 inches. And then, other times I've gone up to maybe 18 to 24 inches if I'm bumping. Sometimes I like to keep them a little higher off the bottom if there's a lot of rocks and brush and structure. Just tries to help you keep your bait moving.
Yeah. How long a leader?
So I'd say about 24 inches.
Okay.
I don't vary that very much. I have some theories on different lengths, but they've never really panned out.
Okay, I got somebody wanting to know, did you catch a 94 from a boat or the bank?
I was from a boat.
Okay. I had somebody ask that. W. Blake asked that on YouTube.
That was 2014. I caught a 96.4 pound blue.
Were you bumping or were you anchored down?
I was anchored. I was anchored by myself in a flooded river.
Oh man.
I got it in. It was a chore.
Yeah, I bet so.
I thought I had the state record at the time. The state record here is 102 pounds, and it was close.
Good deal. What reels? I got somebody asking, what reels are you using?
I only use Shimano Dakotas. I've played with the Abu Garcia 7000s, and they're a great reel. Started making noise on me. The pawls seem to wear out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I kept 10 or 15 spares in the boat, and it takes you 10 seconds to swap one out. But I found the Dakotas to be a little bit smoother and run a little bit longer without having to clean them.
Okay, Dirty or Catfishing's asking, on average, how much weight do you use to bump the Missouri?
My go-to weight is a 4 ounce.
Okay.
I'll throw a 4 on first and see. It's wanting to stay behind the boat. The slower you go with the boat, the more weight you're going to need. At 0.5 miles an hour, and 4 miles an hour current, it may take a 6 ounce weight to keep me at 250 feet. Whereas I'm starting to go a little faster, mile and a half or 2 miles an hour, even go to a 3 ounce and maintain contact with the bottom.
Okay. I take it you're using braid, you're not using mono.
Yeah. I use braid on everything. Bait poles, crappie poles, it doesn't matter. I just don't like this stretch.
I'm still a mono guy. I've always been a mono. The only time I'm using braid is when I'm bumping.
That mono scares me. If you get a weight hung up, and you ain't got that thing and it stretches out 15, 20 feet. I'm always worried about that.
Yeah.
Weight coming flying back in the boat and hit me in the
Yeah, that is. Usually it snaps off, but when it breaks, it's like a whip. And if it catches you on the arm or on the face, boy, it'll light you right up.
like a 22 going off.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like when it busts.
And mine always seemed to break in the middle. It would never break at the leader, break at the swivel. It was always breaking halfway up the line. It had a bad spot in it, but you break off 3 or 4 times in the night, and the next thing you know, you're the line.
Right.
So it wasn't for me. I know some guys love it.
Yeah. Now I converted my 7,000s. I put the ceramic pawl on them, and it seemed to do a lot better. The ceramic does rather than the steel.
Yeah, I never tried those.
Yeah.
I say, the rods my girlfriend uses, the 7,000s are on those, and I can still sling an Abu 7,000 further than I can any other reel. They'll get with the program.
Mm-hmm. Now your trolling motor, what are you running? A Minn Kota?
Yeah, I run a Minn Kota Ulterra 112.
Is that 36 or is that 24?
Yes.
Okay.
Is you can't have enough trolling motor out there on that river.
No.
Some days if you may have to run it on 8 or 9, to get your speed right, and you're only going to get 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours out of that, and that cuts into a lot of your if your tournament's 8 hours and your batteries are dead within 5, you got 3 hours to figure something out.
Right.
So it's with a bigger boat now. I'm gonna mess around with maybe putting a generator on the front deck and seeing how that works. I know it's not suggested by Minn Kota, but
to keep your batteries charged up.
Yeah. A lot of the bow fishermen, you do that with generators and with the lights, and they also do it with their trolling motors. I've got some friends that are really big into that, and that's what they do, and it seems to work. But like I said, the motors are only rated at 36 volts, and if you're charging a battery at 14, you're almost 40 volts or whatever, 42 maybe. So you're quite a bit above what Minn Kota is suggesting for those motors.
Okay.
Surely there's some threshold there, I guess. We'll find out.
Okay, Dirty or Catfishing's wanting to know your favorite area to bump. Bends, current seams off of dikes.
It'd be outside bends. The Missouri River is full of wing dikes on the inside bends, but a lot of the outside bends will have little L dikes or whatever you want to call them, little L-shaped dikes on the outside bends. Those are always pretty good. I like to find those. I like to find out those dikes like that, they're blown out. You may have in 20 foot of water, maybe out of the water, then you got a part that's broken up where the flood waters have broken it up. So you got a lot of big boulders behind there, and you'll catch logs and a lot of structure. So I like bumping through those. They generally do pretty well. But I've tried it in the middle of the river. I've tried it along the dikes. I've tried it behind the dikes. It works everywhere. It's just a matter of getting that bait in front of the fish.
Mm-hmm. What electronics are you using?
I run a Humminbird Onyx, the Onyx 10 Touch.
Oh, new ones.
It's not the brand new one they came out with. It's about 3 years old.
Yeah. That's a good
It's
unit.
the Bird's touchscreen. Yeah, I like it.
I run Lowrance, and I like to touch screen, but I have a tendency of, I'll see a fish or I'll see something, and I stick my finger there, and then it, dunk, then I got to clear it off.
I like the touch screen, but now that I have it, I couldn't go back.
I know, yeah.
It's so nice if you want to put a waypoint. On Humminbird, you'll have a WP, 100. 40 units, the old units, you had to go through and use a little 4-way to change the name of it.
Yeah.
I would want a couple minutes to write it in. Well, now with the touch screen, you've got a full keyboard where I can simply type it in, and that by itself is worth it to me.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Just
how
I never put a waypoint.
Lowrance the same way. Yeah, Lowrance the same way. The keyboard comes up, boy, you can really go. And the one thing I like about mine is it's got the notes section, so I can put down what I've seen or what's there and that kind of stuff. I don't know if the Humminbird has that.
I'm not sure if it has notes. You can take each time you do a waypoint, you can make it like a screenshot and save that to an SD card, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So after the day is done, you can go back through and get points. You can see those 20 waypoints in order to come home and look at it on your computer and really kind of study what you're looking at to see if you've been behind a log. Now you can look at it for 10, 15 minutes on your computer, blowing up and see what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
On the water, it's kind of tough to, stare at the screen for 15 minutes. Think it might be a fish. You want to
kind of busy.
Right, I got other stuff going on.
Okay, I got another question here. How fast were you bumping and still caught fish, and how fast was the boat moving?
Current speed, I've caught them, and maybe close to 5-6 miles an hour by that point. And I've caught fish bumping and 4.5, 5 miles an hour.
Okay.
It just depends on how active they are. Half the current speed, that's the general rule of thumb. And if I go through an area and scan and, mark 4 or 5 fish and bump through it at 2 miles an hour and don't catch anything, it's generally not your bait. It's your presentation isn't right. So then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slow down. I'll slow down as much as I can high and bump back through them again and see if I catch one. If I catch one then I know I've got to slow down. Some days you can run 3.5, 4 miles an hour and they're still going to hit it.
Interesting. Yeah, Dirty Gore said that's some good information. Appreciates it. What you got for him, Lyle?
Well, I've got a couple of questions here on the Catfish Weekly chat. Joel, Tony Meyer would like to know, are you bumping this time of the year? And I will add to that what temperature do you feel like is the time to start bumping in the springtime of the year?
Everybody says 55 degrees, which in the fall, I would agree with that. And I personally haven't had much luck pre-spawn. Once the spawn's over, into July, into probably October, maybe even November, that's when I do the best. I'm sure you can probably catch them now. On one of them, I'm sure you can catch them great pre-spawn. I just personally haven't had much luck doing that way.
What about dragon bait? Say you go to the lake and you're dragging. Is there any particular time of the year that you feel that you shouldn't be doing that, or is there times that you think it's better?
You can catch fish dragging all year long.
As long as you're going slow enough.
As long as you go slow enough. And you may find a winter day where you can buzz past them at a mile an hour and they're still going to hit it.
Right.
It's all about targeting, active fish, and some days you got to coax them a little bit, but if they're going to feed, they're chasing shad down out at the lake. shad don't swim, a quarter mile an hour right past their face.
Right.
He's going to try to get away, and if they want it, they're going to go get it.
I agree. Tony Clayton would like to know what kind of hooks is your choice to use when you're bumping and stuff.
Bumping, I've experimenting. I've been using the Daiichi or Team Catfish, whoever else makes them, the double action 8/0 hook. With it, I feel like I miss a lot of fish on them though, and so I've been experimenting with J hooks. They're pretty expensive, so I feel pretty bad when I lose one, but I'll probably be all right.
Have you tried the the Gamakatsu big game hooks, big river hooks?
Those are the ones.
I've not found anything that's reasonably close to what they'll do. The hookup ratio is great, and when them fish is trying to take that rod out of your hand and you're trying to pull back, they seem to work really nice.
Yeah. I've tried a couple of them, and I grew up bass fishing, so I'm used to if you got a rod in my hand, I'm pitching jig or something, and something thumps it, I'm gonna thump it back. I'm gonna do it hard.
That's right.
And so, and that may be my problem with the double action hooks. I may be busy with them.
Right.
But
I like those style hooks if on dead sticks drifting.
Really?
Yeah, those double action type hooks, they work really well.
Yeah.
When you're dead sticking and drifting down through there, not hand rodding, but it's have them in rod orders. They work really well for that.
Well, they work real well when you can reel down on something.
Exactly.
If he's got holding it and you can reel down, it's 9 times out of 10, or maybe more, you're gonna put the hook in them.
Yep, I agree. Tony would also like to know, in tournament, do you look for huge fish or numbers of fish?
Numbers first.
For starters or for the whole tournament? I think he's locked up.
We lose
Locked
him?
up.
Oh,
Yeah, you locked up.
Sorry.
Give us your answer again. That's all right. I know you have a poor internet connection. That's part of doing this, like we got.
Right. I'm gonna look for 5 fish. I don't care how big they are. I don't care if they're 2 pounds. I'm gonna look for 5 fish, and then I'm gonna start working from there.
Now, after you get your limit of fish in the boat, are you looking for certain types of fish to upgrade, or are you still just looking to upgrade?
It depends. We fish a lot of night tournaments. 99% of our tournaments we fish are at night, and so I like to drill, whatever the case may be, until 2 o'clock in the morning, somewhere along there. Then I can nap, and so I'll go sit on a sandbar or a current seam or something, and throw some big baits out, and hopefully while I'm snoozing, want to rip the rod down. I do a lot of sleeping on the river.
Somebody else mentioned that about you. I don't remember who it was now, but somebody else told me that at them tight tournaments, they every once in a while knew that you was snoozing.
I snooze more than I probably should.
Well, do you miss many fish?
Full range of the boat.
Any fish when you're sleeping?
No.
Okay, well, that doesn't matter.
I catch my biggest fish when I'm sleeping. Whoever I'm fishing with, I tell them, keys during the boat. If I'm sleeping and you want to go somewhere, I trust you enough. Fire it up and do what you think you need to do.
That's right.
Wake up, I might not. We'll see.
Yeah, you can always go back to them places. That's one of the things that people don't understand. They don't know that if you move from a spot doesn't mean you can't go back to that spot. A lot of guys never will go back. If like you was talking earlier, if we're in a place and we put 5 fish in a boat and they're really not what we're looking for, but they give us our limit, and we go looking for something else and can't get them to go anywhere else, I'm not going to go back to that spot, because just because you caught 5 unders does not mean there's not a couple overs laying in there with them.
Right.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question here, and you and I have talked about this before, because we talk every once in a while at night when we're all up. And what would you think about a lot of these tournament directors doing the 5-fish limit with a 2 over and 3 under, even in places where that's not the law.
Right. I don't see a problem with it. I think it adds a little bit to the competition. There's guys out there who are really good at catching 5 fish. They catch big fish too, but you can guarantee it when they come to weigh in, they're bringing in 5 fish.
Right.
Guys who may bring in 1 fish, but it weighs 65, 70 pounds. It's kind of a way to level the playing field where everybody can, be even.
I agree.
Limits, but I like them to have, like you say, a 2 over, 3 under type of deal.
Well, I think we're all hoping that the regulations will change that way statewide for a lot of us. At this particular time, it's not there, but we just keep pushing and maybe we'll get it. One of the holdups that we're having now is Illinois' regulations are so crappy that the other people are afraid they're going to make them mad. And personally, I really could care less whether Illinois gets mad about it or not. But when they start allowing bow fishing, that's just kind of giving all the catfishermen the finger, as far as I was concerned.
That's legal in Kansas. You can bow fish them, you can noodle them. I mean, you can on 33 hooks on a trot line. I mean, you name it, you can do it.
And then they wonder why that the big tournaments don't go to their area and drag in all that revenue. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry to talk about your state like that, but that's
the way it is. It's been said multiple times. I mean, the noodling thing is, I get it. My grandpa did it. I don't agree with it, but I understand why those guys are doing it. But you've got to put some sort of regulation on those guys, from pulling those big fish off the nest all the time.
Well, and that's what they're doing, and they never go back.
They don't go back.
No.
They're there for one reason and one reason only, and they're vulnerable.
Yep.
It's easy. And I mean,
every time that they do that, they lose that whole litter of fry. Every time. I'm going to tell you something here. Since you've been talking with me, Rob Gregg has sent me a picture of a couple of pretty nice fish he caught over the weekend. He's holding them both up at the same time. Pictures are deceiving. He's got them up close to him, and we all know how big Rob is. And I'm guessing upper 30s. They might be close to 40. They're pretty good looking fish. And he sent me a message, and you'll appreciate this. He caught a 15, 18, and 22 all at one time. He sent me a couple videos. I didn't watch him, but he caught 20 plus fish and 5 in the slots and no overs other than those 2 that he's showing. And he didn't weigh those, so he don't know how much it was. And he said he got his shad down by Warsaw. So he had a pretty good day.
That's pretty easy to get bait up there at Warsaw. Right now.
Now when you're getting your bait or when you're fishing the rivers, do you try to get your bait out of the river systems, Joel?
Not very successful at it. We have the Asian carp, and they're pretty thick in this area. And when I first started fishing the river, drainage ditch that I could go to every time, and I could catch 10 or 15 big shad, 12, 13, 14 inches anymore. The only time I can get fresh bait on the river is in the springtime. When the creeks are flooded, you find a clear water creek that feeds the river, and I guarantee there's goldeye, skipjack, shad, whatever you want is inside that creek if you're willing to throw a net enough. Can't get bait. There's a lot of city lakes around me. There's 2 of them that are chock full of shad. They're not very big shad, but they're 8, 9 inches. I mean, that's plenty big.
Yep.
And then I also have a couple power plant lakes in the area.
So you can get
I can get it if I want to drive enough and mess around enough. I can get it.
Okay.
I can get the shad.
Now, when you're going to these tournaments and stuff, and you've got to have something besides just shad for your bait for your tournament, do the skipjack make it you're as far up as you are up the Missouri River?
They do. Not very many. I think I've probably caught. I know they're here here. I've busted up on the surface before, but I never have a ring to catch them. So I know they're here. I don't think the schools are very big.
Okay.
I've caught a lot of baby skipjack as well, so I know they're spawning. They're doing their thing here. So hopefully in a couple of years we'll have a good population of them.
Do you think them skipjack go up and down the rivers like the blue cat do?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And some guys will say no, they don't think they do, but I believe they do, because when we're fishing,
Oh yeah,
you never catch one when you're fishing. The only time you catch them skipjack, even in our area, is when somebody happens to get into a school of them, and you go down there and you get as many as you can, and they're gone again. You know, and
they're nomads. I have no idea where they go.
Nobody seems to have that information. That's what I'm looking for, is the guy that can say, oh yeah, this is where they go. And that's what I'm looking for right there.
I mean, they're like the gold eye or moon eye, whatever they are. And there's times of the year where you can tear them things up, and then a week later, you can spend all weekend looking for them. You won't find one. I don't know. I don't know where they go.
I don't either.
If I could figure that out, I could make a lot of money.
Well, if you figure it out, you got to tell your old buddy Lyle where them babies are at.
I've got a good friend of mine who he's figured them out, and
that's right.
I wouldn't say every time he can go catch them, but if anybody's going to catch them, I bet money on him.
Well, I know some guys that live out in Indiana and places that are real successful on the moon eye. They're really good at it. They have a technique that they use to get them, and it works. You know, they believe in them, and I do too. I like moon eye. I like skipjack real well. This time of the year, though, my favorite bait, no matter whether I'm on the lake, of course, the lake, you got to be using shad because there is no skipjack in the lake. But even in the rivers this time of the year, my favorite bait to use is shad, just if I can find it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that. As the weather warms up, then I'll go to the skipjack and the moon eye and different things.
I'll take shad all winter, all the way up to the spawn. That's my bait of choice if I can find it. And then after the spawn, I'll go to skipjack, frozen skipjack that we buy, or Asian carp.
The Asian carp. This is my feeling on Asian carp. Everybody says, oh, they stink, they're nasty, their eyes are in the wrong spot, and they are. They're down on the bottom of their head.
They are.
But they have become a natural food source because they're never going to get rid of them. They're here. We're stuck with them. And until they get so big, these fish can't eat them, they're going to eat them. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. They're easy to get. I mean, and if I'm going to go fish on the river, I'm going to have Asian carp with me. I may not throw it, but my two biggest fish have come from Asian carp.
Right.
And I know a lot of guys whose biggest fish have come from Asian carp. And
exactly.
As you can make little 1x1 cubes if you want to, or you can make a 20-inch long piece of bait if that's what you think the fish want. You can just do whatever you want to do with it. Whereas a skipjack, sometimes you can't get a big old monster piece of bait out of it. Mm-hmm. Or shad, or wherever else you may be using.
Right.
It
is. And it stays on the hook.
Oh, yeah, you can't get it off.
You cut it off.
Yeah.
You take the hook and wiggle it around, make a big old hole in it, and eventually you can back the hook out of it. You can't. It's tough.
Tony Caton says if you get time to get with him and Caleb, and they'll take you out on the James River.
I'm actually going to be in South Carolina here in a couple weeks.
Cool.
I may have to talk to the boss about getting out there.
Well, I think them guys, you'd have a good time with them boys out there. I'm pretty sure of that.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I just got some more pictures from Ethan Starr. Him and Ben Cordy was out on the Missouri River in what he calls an impromptu tournament. And they absolutely caught some giants, 80.14 and a 58.13. I guess what they're trying to say, Joel, is you need to get that boat in here because that crappie fishing ain't going to cut it if them guys are catching 80s.
I'm fully aware it ain't cutting
it. So your dad does not catfish?
It's no fun.
Right. Does your dad not catfish?
I got him started on it a couple years ago, and we were fishing the dam on the Kansas River, and I caught a 60, and it was right below the dam. The water was, it was running hard, and he had never seen anything like that. And we got it in, and he, I think from that moment on, he wasn't necessarily hooked, but he was definitely interested.
I bet.
And I've got him bumping now, and he's pretty good at it.
Oh, good. I consider bumping a new type of way to fish. We some of us has been doing it for several years, and others are just now getting interested in it, figuring it out, learning it. Because some people can pick up a bumping rod and they can bump right off the bat, and others have to practice at it, and it takes some time to understand what they're looking for, what the feel is. And some guys bump with, like I say, the Gamakatsu Big River hook, where they set the hook, and other guys do it with a circle hook. And I've seen them sit there and wait till the rod loads up, then they reel down, and that works. I've done it that way. It just doesn't suit my way of doing it. But it's a new concept in the way we fish. It's sort of like planer boards. That's a new concept now in the way we fish. And every way that you can figure out is one more feather in your cap to put more fish in a boat. And this time of the year, with the water temperature warming up like it is, the water's in the mid to upper 40s in a lot of areas right now. If I was on the lake, I promise you I would have them planer boards out. Now, it might be a little bit early for me to get a bumping rod out on the river, but I'm not telling you I wouldn't try it, because if I'm struggling to put fish in a boat, you can sure cover a lot more water if you're bumping for them fish.
That's with fishing in general. If you're anchoring on holes for 3-4 hours and you don't catch a fish, at some point in time you got to cut the cord and if I'm fishing the river and I've anchored everywhere I can think of, when it's cold like this, I'll bring the rod out. You never know. Can't be any worse.
That's exactly right. And one thing that I have never forgot. He said those wasn't present caught fish. He just thought we'd like to see them. Well, believe me, I do like to see them, Ethan. Thank you. We had Carl Morris on the show a couple of times, but one time in particular, he was on the show with us, and Carl told me that he don't even put an anchor in his boat, even in the wintertime. And he told us this on the show. He's drifting some way, no matter what. Carl Morris is very successful. And that's telling me that maybe I ought to look into more of what he's talking about and not do as much anchor. I'm telling you right now, if I can fish without ever having to pull another anchor, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, really.
Try pulling one up in 5-mile-an-hour current.
Yeah. Tony says he agrees. There's been 3 over 100 pounds down there. That's amazing. They got it going on out there right now.
Yes, they do.
That's
I think everybody
awesome.
does. Justin,
there's been a lot of fish caught right now. A lot of good fish. There were some guys.
Having a boat.
Well, Joe, I'm pretty sure I know a place where you could get into a boat. If
I could.
If a tournament come up and you decided you wanted to go, because Cindy always wants to fish, and right now I can't fish. I have 0 weight, so greater maybe, but
yeah.
I can't pull one over the side. I can't rod and reel one. Can't do anything for a few weeks. So
that's all I need. I just need a driver.
Yeah, I can be the designated driver. And I don't drink during tournaments, but after it's over, after watching you guys catch all the fish, I might want to.
I'll be there with you.
Last year I knowed you and we talked online for a long time, several years probably, and we went to the Brunswick tournament, and I really enjoyed the day, the afternoon, while we was all waiting to go out visiting with you up there. We had a really good time. That is an outstanding tournament in a big fish area. And I feel like that you, as a lot of other people, are really, really looking forward to that Brunswick tournament that's coming up this year.
Absolutely. It's a good place to fish. It's dark at night. I like it that way. There's no lights out on the river. There's a little bit wider than what it is here in Kansas City. And it's just, it holds big fish. I mean, we see it every single year. And the Brunswick tournament, the town gets behind it. Everybody's, kind of pumped up about the tournament, and people show up to weigh-ins at 8:00 in the morning. They know what kind of fish are out there, but they want to see them again.
Did you ever in your life see anything more exciting than the Calcutta that was held there last year?
I didn't quite understand it at first. They got it going pretty quickly, but as it took off, I was kind of surprised at how much money, people were bidding on these teams. Like $150, $175 on me, and thinking, I don't know who you are, but I like to
think they knew you.
That's good.
Yeah. Do you think they knew who you was, or they think they just wanted involved in the program?
I hope they knew who I was. Not just random bidding on everybody, but it's another thing you can add to the tournament. It's it's something else to do the night. You got everybody together. You drink a couple beers. You have the barbecue across the street, and it's just a good time to some of the guys that you tournaments. Sit down and talk to them for a while. It's always about fishing.
That's exactly right. I know we had a good time up there. I spent quite a bit of time talking with Bo Brockman. I don't get to talk to Bo very much, and we had a great time. Of course, Brian Sanders was there, and I got to visit with him a little bit. And I can't think of her name right now, but his girlfriend has a son that's in the military, and I read all them posts about them boys that's in the military. And it was nice to visit with her for just a second about that, because she's so proud of him being in there and makes all those posts about that. And I read every one that I see, and I don't see all the posts that are being made, but that's really a personal thing with me, since both of my boys was in the military, and it's important that these boys step up and do their thing, and I'm so happy for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's going to be a big deal at Brunswick this year. I'm hoping for a lot of the guys from out of town and out of state will show up. They need to come up and experience the Missouri River and find out what it's all about, because there's going to be some monster fish caught up there, and they're going to have a great time.
Yeah, the Missouri River, it can get wild, but if you use your head, you be smart about what you're doing, it's not that bad.
No, it's not. It's not.
Anybody can fish it. I think you and I a couple weeks ago were talking about a guy that, you go out and sit on a switch or sit on a sandbar all night long. I mean, your chances of hooking into a pig, it's there. I mean, you could win the tournament with one fish.
That's exactly right.
You have 3 or 4 waypoints that you're going to hit all night. You go to the first one to start with, and you can point anchor there the next one in the morning. I mean, it's treacherous, but if you use your head, you'll be just fine.
You just need to make a game plan and stick to it.
Absolutely.
Tony would like to know if you're going to be at the Catfish Conference, Joel.
I will not be at the Catfish Conference.
Will not make the Catfish Conference. Okay. All right.
Too much work. Too much stuff going on.
Well,
yeah.
To be able to fish, you got to be able to fund it, and that's sometimes it's a downfall for some of us, but it's a necessary evil.
I wish I could figure it out how to not have to work anymore.
Well, if you win every tournament you go to, you'll have enough money.
I don't know. I got to pay for that new boat somehow.
Hey, I got a question coming off of YouTube. It says, do you guys ever use live bait?
I don't personally use live bait very much, but I know a lot of guys that do. Just keep them alive. My old boat that I had before, I didn't have a bait tank in it. I just had the live well to keep the bait alive. I think there's probably times of the year where live bait would outfish cut bait. It just, for me, I was confident in using cut bait. It was easier for me to, throw the bait in the cooler and call it good. I didn't have to worry about the live bait, but if you can keep the bait alive and have access to it, I mean, I would definitely try it. There's no reason not to, and that's what they're naturally going to eat anyway. So,
Right. Yeah.
Do you do much flathead fishing, Joel?
no, I can't figure them things out.
Can't figure them out.
If I catch one, it's pure luck.
Yeah, I love to catch them. I really
I
do.
blast.
My favorite fish.
They're the king.
I catch a couple.
But you just in our area, you just can't catch them consistently enough to try for them in tournaments. Out there where Doc's at, they target them for tournaments.
Yeah.
They're out there. I know there's 100 and flathead caught on a trot line 2 years ago, right in Kansas City.
Right,
and
I remember that.
They're there.
There was what was that one called in Jeff City?
You just gotta
or something.
I don't
3 or
know.
4 years ago.
Big. I'd love to tame
It was caught online too. But yeah, I love the flatheads. But like I say, nobody has consistently figured out how to put them in the boat during a tournament. And the blues you can put in the boat. So if you're going to win tournaments in our immediate area, you're probably going to need some blues.
Chasing blues.
Yep, that's exactly right.
I'll tell you.
Did you ever? Go ahead, Doc.
I'll tell you somebody that's got it figured out, at least catching on tournaments. And that's Chris Saunders, because that's how he won the King Cat.
Yes, he does.
Because he was targeting flatheads the whole time he was fishing.
Yeah, Chris, a great guy too. I hope we get to visit with him this weekend down at the Catfish Conference.
Yeah, he's coming down. He's bringing Joe Cassidy with him. So.
Oh, cool. I've known Joe online for years. Only met him a couple of times, but we'll have to get them guys on the show with us down there. Be fun.
Yeah.
Be fun. Joel, how many times do you get out to Nebraska out there to Calamus or some of them places? Do you fish any channel cat tournaments?
I've never fished in a lake in Nebraska. I've fished a river in Nebraska. I'm just not much of a lake guy. And I'm not much of a channel cat guy either, I guess.
Yeah.
There's some big fish up there in Calamus. I mean, 25, 30-pound channel cats. I mean, that's a haul.
Yeah. Now, I understand. I've never been there. I understand it's a pretty small lake. I'd really like to try it sometime. I think it'd be a blast.
Yeah. I've looked at it on the map. It's not very deep.
Really?
From what I remember, it wasn't.
I see. Well,
Nebraska has those weird bait laws where you can't throw a cast net in some lakes, and I don't understand all of it, but I know it makes it pretty tough. I always hear the guys complaining about how tough it is, and
I'm thinking a deal like that. If you went out there to a place like that, you probably would want to get in with a local guy to fish the first one or so to kind of figure everything out to make sure you didn't do anything you wasn't supposed to do. Just to keep you out of trouble.
Right. Anytime you cross state lines, you need to make sure you know what the laws are.
Right.
No sense in breaking the law on accident and have to pay a fine for something you just didn't know.
Well, it's bad enough that you got to pay the fine, but then everybody finds out about it, and then you're this or you're that, and I don't want to go through all that, especially on an honest mistake like that, and it happens. I've seen it happen to guys online. They make an honest mistake and they get ridiculed for it, and it shouldn't be that way. But it is what it is,
Yeah, nothing you can do about it. Own up to it and say, yeah, it was an accident.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's all.
Anybody that knows you, they'll know that you did it on accident. They know you weren't trying to.
That's 100% correct. So, are you planning on getting in the Catfish Weekly National Championship?
I'm gonna try.
Well,
I've got to win a couple tournaments, I guess. I've got them wrote down of which ones I've got to play for.
Well, there's some reason I think you'll make it. I have every confidence you will, and I've told that to a couple other guys that I feel very secure that will make it. There's a lot of great fishermen out there. But like I said earlier, in our immediate area, and I'm talking about Missouri, Illinois, Kansas, Iowa, enough guys here to compete against every week that we go out. These guys, they plan on taking your money. They don't just show up to catch fish.
No, they want your money. And that Catfish Weekly tournament, I mean, you're going to have nationwide, the best of the best. I mean, let alone the money you can possibly win just for the bragging rights. Say I'm the national champion.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's going to be a blast. I've tried every way to figure out a way that I could fish it. I just don't see how I can possibly do that. But like I'd said before, I'm going to try to make sure that Cindy and our son is qualified, and I'll be pulling for them. But I'll be pulling for everybody that's in it. It doesn't, as long as everybody has a good time and catches a lot of fish, it's going to be a success.
That's what it's going to be all about.
You betcha.
Making friends across the country, seeing people again, and
that's
many guys travel the Midwest. Everybody wants to go to the Mississippi or east of the Mississippi. So this will be the first time that these guys have to come across that state line there and fish these waters. And Lake of the Ozarks is a lot of water to cover.
And there's plenty of fish there.
Oh, if you don't catch 5 fish out there, I mean, you weren't fishing.
You weren't trying very hard, was you?
You were fishing on credit with the bare hooks. It's not possible to not catch 5 fish.
Well, we're really excited about it, and we're working real hard to make it the biggest and the best that we can possibly do. So I think it'll be a great time. And Joe, we're running on about an hour. I appreciate you being on the show with us tonight. It's just been outstanding having you on here. You shared a lot of great information with us and talked to us about a lot of things and answered a lot of questions. And that's getting this information out to the guys that don't know and that are asking the questions, and even helping guys that are seasoned veterans in the sport understand a different way might, help them in another way too. So we really appreciate what you're doing.
Not a problem. That's make the sport grow. I mean,
that's exactly right. And guys like you and others is the reason it's growing like it is. And like I say, we appreciate you being on here. If you have any sponsors or any special people that you'd like to thank, and you better mention Shelby's name, go ahead and do that at this time.
Well, it's just Shelby and all my friends and family that support me, fishing all the time. That's all I do. And without these people around me, there's no way I could do this. It's all them.
That's exactly the way it is, and I done all kinds of stuff till I signaled in on the catfishing, and this is something Cindy and I could do together. And she didn't start fishing tournaments with me. I fished with other guys, and I fished with my boys, and they got to the point where they was after chasing girls or chasing cars or doing this or that, and she wanted to fish one, and she's been my partner ever since. So it worked out for me, and I don't have a problem if she'd say, "Hey, I don't want to fish with you. I want to go fish with Doc this weekend." I'm good with that. I would be all right because she wants to go, and that makes it so much easier for me. And when you get support from your family and your friends standing behind you, it just makes the whole deal go a little bit easier.
Right. Mm-hmm. And when you take your significant other, you can spend a little more time on the water, and it's a good way to spend time together.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of other things to be doing together.
Absolutely.
It's a good one.
Well, listen, Joe, thank you so much. Stay in touch, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you at some tournaments later on this year, and anything that comes up or anything we can do to help you in any way or questions, feel free to give me a shout, and I'm liable to holler at you if I need to find some bait if I'm in your area.
Works for me.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
right.
Joel.
Thank you.
Now, Doc, old Joel shared a lot of great information with a lot of people. He answered a ton of questions. That's the kind of stuff that we have to have in the sport to make it grow. And he understands that. He's got a very good concept on what it takes to make the catfishing industry better.
Yeah, I like it when people share, a lot of the information because, I fish current, but nothing like what you guys got. Current for me is 1 mile an hour. I get on the Missouri and it's zipping along at 6, 7 mile an hour. On the Mississippi, we were looking at what down there, 4 or 5, something like that.
We got into some 7, but most of it was 4 and 5. Yeah. But it was a great time. I know you got a bunch of stuff to end the show up with. I know that you've got a bunch of results and stuff. So let's go. and then you can
All
tell us
right.
about Doc's tip of the night.
Okay. Just let me give a shout out to Cassie Winder. She put a 74.12 pound blue in the boat today with Adam. So
I seen that.
that's one that the commercial guys haven't got yet. So
That's a pretty
Yeah.
good fish. I seen
That's a
that.
good
I was so
fish.
happy for. That's a great fish.
Yeah, like Lynn said, you go, girl.
Absolutely.
All right. JKV tournaments. That was out of Geneva, Kentucky, right across from Diamond Island. First place, Wayne and Connor King, 111.6 pounds. Second, Dale Kearns, Greg Edwards, 103.3 pounds. Third, Stephen Fancher and Mike Head, 62.5 pounds. And fourth, Adam Winder and Kelly Cressley, 59.4 pounds. Big fish, Aaron Wheatley, Rusty Morris, 58.9 pound blue.
That's an outstanding fish for
Pretty
that
good.
area.
Yeah.
I sent Rusty a message. He said he caught it on a rod he got from me a year or two ago. Real pleased with that. You guys keep going. Them two make a pretty good team.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Yeah, and I bet they have a blast too.
Oh, I can't imagine them not.
Yeah, I bet they really do. Yeah, and they had some pretty bad. Those guys had some pretty bad conditions. Weatherman was way off. Everybody looked like drowned rats when they were showing the pictures on TV. I know that one. I looked on the monitor and I seen Adam standing there, and it looked, man. I mean, he looked like he was soaked from head to toe. So yeah, the weatherman didn't do him no justice down there. King Cat tournament out of Santee Cooper. First place, Shane Queen and Blake Williams, 208.88 pounds. Second place, James Saxon and Richard Wimmer, 205.68 pounds. Third, Cecil Minhouse, Jason Withrow, 179.74 pounds. Now this team right here was kind of interesting. On day one, they were in 13th place, and they jumped from 13th to 3rd just in one. I mean, they must have gotten on some fish that second day. So,
Absolutely.
Fourth place, Lee Hardy, Brandon Tate, 177.88 pounds. Big fish, Billy Parton and Dan Robinson, 73-pound blue.
Giant.
Yep.
Absolute stud.
Yep. And that's all the tournament results I've got. Nobody else sent me anything.
I want to give a shout out to Jeremy Cole and them guys at the Cabela's King Cat stuff, doing the live feed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that couldn't make that tournament that wanted to be there. And it's not the same when you watch it on live, but you still get an idea of what's going on. You get to see all the people when they run them up there and they weigh their fish. And it's very entertaining for us guys that couldn't make the tournament. And I think it's really cool that they spend the time and effort. And I know every place they go, you can't have the internet connection to do that. But when they do, a lot of us sit here and watch them, because it's going to be some time before I get on to do that. But, I can still sit here and enjoy watching them weigh in fish. So that's pretty outstanding.
Yes, it is.
So what do you got for a tip tonight?
All right. Doc's tip for tonight is keep him hook sharp. And now I'm having trouble with my thing here. Oh, there it goes. All right. Rapala makes a real nice sharpener that it'll get circle hooks, and it'll also get the regular hooks. And you can put if you see a hook that's dull, you can put a real sharp tip on it using this thing. It's got several different grooves, and it'll work on several different size hooks. So keep those tips sharp. You only get one shot at getting a monster in the boat. So that's Doc's tip for the night.
That's a great tip, Doc, and I'm going to add to that. Every hook that I take out of a package, I check the point on. Every one, no matter what brand. I don't care what it is. Some place down the line, you're going to have one that's not sharp enough to suit you, or it's been in a bag and banged into a bunch of other ones or something. And every time that you put a hook on a leader, check that point, and if you can sharpen it, sharpen it. If you can't, just grab another one. There's no sense in losing or taking a chance on missing a great fish from a dull hook. And I've never seen one of them sharpening devices, so I'm pretty intrigued with that. It's a great tip.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. I've used it for years. So.
Outstanding. Doc, I want to visit with you just a little bit before we go about the Catfish Conference. It is this weekend.
Yes,
It'll be Saturday and Sunday at Louisville, Kentucky. I know a lot of people are really wound up about getting down there. I'm excited to be there. We're really going to miss old Chuck down there, but
yes, we are.
You know, we'll get it done. You're going to be doing seminars. Joe Lucky's going to be doing seminars. Jason Bridge is going to be doing seminars.
Phil King, James Patterson.
James Patterson. I mean, there is so much going to happen down there, and so many people are going to be thoroughly entertained. Not only the seminars, but every company that's going to be there showing their products. From what Steve was telling us last week, just about anybody that sells a catfishing rod is going to have some down there.
Yeah, bring some moolah, guys. Bring some moolah.
Knock the dust off that wallet and plan on buying you some equipment down there. And you don't have to spend a dime if you don't want to. You can come down there. It's free entry into it. Thanks to the boat guys. Jeff Jones Marina. Everybody's entry into the Catfish Conference. It's going to be great. If you want to look at a big cat fever rod, they're going to be there. If you want to look at a Warrior Cat rod, it's going to be there. If you want to look at some customs, I'm sure there'll be some there. If you want to look at anything else, hooks, if you want whisker wear apparel, you just run over there to the Catfish Bunker. Jim and Sheila will have everything there that they got. Plus, they will have original stuff that they're taking out of their store, and there'll be there'll be some deals down there.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be some anchor guys down there. So if you're looking for anchor, because I remember Douglas saying that he was going to have his anchors down there. I think, didn't he tell us that? Yeah, his, and then Never Snag is going to be there also.
Right. Yeah, there'll be a bunch of stuff. I mean, if it has, I know the guys from gosh, I can't. Joe Lucky's brother-in-law, Jerry Klein's going to have all his.
Klein, yeah.
Have all of the Tangle with Catfish stuff there. I mean, I can't pick up a ball. It's hard to remember all that stuff when you're sitting here trying to freehand.
We're trying to, keep it all together. And just for everybody's information, make sure you go to Jerry Klein, Tangling with Catfish. They're putting on a special benefit for Bink down there, and they're giving away a television. He's giving away a monster rod holder package. Guys have donated trips. It's going to be pretty awesome for that. And then my tournament's coming up in April. That's on April 15th out of Gallipolis, Ohio. If you get the opportunity to come there, man, you're going to talk about. We're talking good flatheads. And as long as we don't get any snow, I think those guys are going to be on fire that weekend right there.
That's going to be a great time for one of the best benefits that could ever possibly been put on. And there's nobody in the world better to Bink.
Yeah. And he's doing real good. I talked to him tonight on the way home, but I talk to him every night. But he's doing a lot better. He's doing real good right now. So, keep them prayers coming. He always needs those. Always needs that.
Absolutely. Survivor, the guy from Survivors is going to be there. If you're interested in buying the little pickup tube that goes on the back of your boat to suck water in so you can transfer water into your live well while you're going down the road, I'm going to have some of his
That thing
information.
works real well too.
It is outstanding.
I put it on my boat. It does work.
Yeah, so we'll have some information there, and he's going to have a booth down there, but we'll have the stuff there with us. Cindy made a note on here that she has an original Doc Lang Monster on the Ohio sweatshirt. We might raffle off.
Don't get rid of my sweatshirt.
Tony King just left us a note on here that says Big Cat Fever will have the best deals of the 2017 season on their products.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I don't know what that is, but the best deal of 2017. Now, the best deal means you're going to be able to get some stuff down the line.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you check those guys out. And I know I've heard a little bit of some of the other guys, and there's going to be some bargains. And if you show up down there, you're going to have a great time. There's going to be a couple guys down there that's got planer boards, and they're ones that I'm not familiar with. But believe me, I'll be checking them babies out. I love my church planer boards, but you know, if there's something new, I want to see it. If it's something different, I want to see it. I may not change, but it's like my Eagle Hawk claw hooks. I'll try anything that comes out new, but I seem to always go back to them because I like them, you know. But one day somebody might come up with something that I do like better, and you know, things happen. But it's going to be a great show, and I believe that the door opens up at 9 o'clock down there to get everybody in, and we'll probably start running through the show. We'll probably start that up about 10 or so, and we'll do 45-minute sections, and we'll do 10 to 15-minute interviews with everybody that we can get on there. We've got some big name guys going to be down there. We're going to try to get them on there, and we'll get as many as the other people that wants to be on there with us as we can. And
we can have 2 days to get this done. So that's
right. And you know, I'm not sure if Heath Malone's going to be down there or not, but if he is, I hope I can get him to help us do some of this stuff. And if he's not, we'll get it done. Chuck and I got her done last year, and you and I get her done this year. But we will miss old Chuck. We're going to miss him a great deal, and things get better, and he'll get straightened out. We're liable to have you back on here before you know it.
That's right. And one other thing, I appreciate the people that have sent me emails and put things on YouTube and on Catfish Weekly. My program that I'm going to talk about is on the Lowrance, but it's styled around what people wanted me to talk about. So, you know, I originally started with something else, and then people started asking me, can you talk about this? You know, I was going to talk about the sonar, and people don't want to hear the sonar. They want the side scan. So, you know, that's what my program is going to be based around.
Right. And Jason Bridges is going to have question and answer.
Yeah. So,
and there's a lot of great guys out here that can do these seminars, but when you get a chance to go listen to Doc Lang, or you get a chance to go do a question and answer thing with Jason Bridges, and Joe Lucky's going to be talking about channel catfishing, and I'm telling you, Joe Lucky knows how to catch channel. I mean,
I'm going to be picking his brain.
Yeah, he'd be really good, and like we was talking last week, who does not want to see
James Patterson?
James Patterson, he's just a super
Phil King.
Guy. Phil King, one of the greatest guides that's ever been. I mean, and these guys are there to help you, and you gotta go see them. It's gonna be a great time. And Steve Douglas is going to be down there. He said he was going to have pretty much a full line of his stuff he didn't have last year. He didn't really say, but I think that he was wanting everybody else to do good, and it wasn't about him. But he's going to have stuff down there. So if you need anything from Steve, get a hold of him. I know Lisa will be there helping him, and I'm not sure who else, but as much stuff as Steve's going to be going on next weekend, he'll have to have somebody to help him out. But if you need any of his products, he'll be there. And like I say, just about anything and anybody, any product that you want should be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So plan on being there Saturday or Sunday or both days, however it works out for you. And stop by the booth, and we'll be glad to visit with you.
Yep. Phil King just posted on Facebook, said, can't wait to see everybody at the 2017 Catfish Conference. My favorite topic, drifting for catfish. And there's one of the guys that's been doing it a long time.
Phil King probably been drifting for catfish as long as anybody that I'm aware of. He's kind of one of the guys that when it started made a lot of improvements on the way drifting was done. So if you have a question about drifting or bumping, that guy can answer those questions for you, give you an honest answer, and he'd be happy to do it.
Yep.
So I think that's going to do it for tonight, Doc. We had a really good time with Joel. He was a great guest on the show. I did get another message here from Tony, said that Zach Royce, Caleb Page, and Dale Lowe will all be at the Big Cat Fever booth. So you guys get in there. And remember, Dale Lowe is the guy that caught that 141-pound, missed the world record by less than 2 pounds. And I don't know if they got it figured out to where they can have the replica of that down there or not. I understand they're going to be able to visit him about catching that fish would be an outstanding thing in itself.
Yep.
So them guys will be having going on. We're going to try to visit with them while we're down. We're going to try to visit with everybody, but sometimes it don't work out. You know how that is. But,
that's right. We're going to try our best.
Yeah, we are. We're going to find a good place to eat. We're going to have a great time.
And we're going to see a lot of people. I am really looking forward to it. I really am. And
I think
Lynn's looking forward to it. She's all excited.
That's good. That's good. I can't wait to see her. We haven't seen her since Monsters on the Ohio. So, well, listen, that'll do it for tonight's show. Be sure to tune in next week. We was talking about the 141-pound fish. The gentleman that built the live well that they held that fish alive in for all that time, Austin Sarton, is supposed to be on the show with us next Monday night, so be sure to tune in for that. Austin's going to tell us on what it takes to keep and build and make live wells to where we can keep these quality fish, these big breeders around, so we can release them back into the water. That way they have a great survival rate. And it should make for a really good show. And have your questions and stuff ready, because this is the guy that can answer the questions about live well issues if you have any. So thanks for watching tonight. We'll see you next Monday night on Catfish Weekly.